Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
How are you, sir?
Good. Doing well, man.
Yeah, it is February already in 2021.
Yep.
Hope everybody is still staying safe out there. It's even though it is a new year, it's not quite over yet. So
Yeah, right.
let's keep doing some great Star Wars content, keep buying the time, but before everything gets back to normal. But got an exciting show for you today. We've got a lot of stuff to go over, mainly a lot of new Star Wars series that are gearing up to start shooting. We know Andor was in production already and Book of Boba Fett, but we got season 3 of Mandalorian coming up. We got Obi-Wan coming up. A couple other little things coming out. High Republic still out there. And of course, some new books and stuff like that also on the horizon. But before, and then of course, well, actually, the main topic we're going to get to is there's some articles and rumors hanging out there about Knights of the Old Republic. Now, this has been talked about for a while now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Even the fact that maybe there was going to be a series and all this stuff, right. But looks like there might be some reimagining coming from the game. Now, I know Casey knows a lot more about this than I do, because I didn't actually play the game. So we'll get a lot into that later. But first, Case, we're releasing this episode on February 7th. Do you know what happened in February 7th back in 1999?
I do not. Getting ready for Phantom Menace. That's what I was probably doing.
Actually, you're right. That was the debut of Phantom Menace in May of 99. Gosh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, yeah. We just celebrated, what was it, the 20-year? Yeah, 20-year anniversary, right? A couple years ago.
Yeah.
But on February 7th, 1999 was actually the debut of the very first Star Wars podcast.
Very
called
cool.
Jedi. I think it was called Jedi Talks, right? Jedi Talk. Great. I got to say, great foresight. Because podcasting back then was very new.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, can imagine it was a huge audience back then, and the infancy of the web back in that day.
I know, and you know, there weren't really any platforms back then either. You know, so
yeah.
You were kind of just hosting on your own website at that point.
That's the thing. I imagine it was just more of a headache to get it out there.
Absolutely, yeah. But that happened, and what's happening right now on this day that we released this is the first ever what's being called the Star Wars Podcast Day right now. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, a gentleman named Daniel, who has put together a great website. He's at StarWarsNowThis.com. If you go there, he's been over the past few months collecting all kinds of, not just Star Wars podcasts, there's actually all kinds of different podcasts on there, mainly centered on Star Wars. But if you do talk other things, he'll gladly add you on there. But it's basically a whole catalog of Star Wars podcasts, and you can submit and get on there. It has your podcasts, your hosts, and all that stuff like that. So Daniel's done a great job, but he reached out to us to help kind of shepherd this thing and be a part of this thing. We're one of the original ones that said yes. So we're just doing our part. We're basically talking about it. We're releasing a show on the 7th, which a lot of other podcasts have done. I think he's close to 100 commitments from different shows. Good. Yeah. So it just goes to show you there is some good Star Wars unity in the community out there. And this is a really good thing, I think, to put out there. And I'm glad he put this together. I'm glad he reached out, and I'm glad that we can do a part now. Now, what's the? I think you read the things. I think you're supposed to push some hashtags out there, and get it out there.
Yeah, the 2 hashtags for this event is hashtag SWPD 2021, and the other one's a hashtag Star Wars Podcast Day.
That's right. And you'll see this all over social today, basically. It'll be a lot of shows putting stuff out there. So there's going to be a lot of shows to check out if you want. And we're glad you're checking us out either on YouTube or on the podcast feeds. But we're here going to be just doing our regular show. But just wanted to say we're glad to be a part of it. Hope this becomes a yearly annual thing. And it sounds like Daniel told me in an email too that he wanted to maybe even get some other events going on as part of this. So, and I think this would be a really good thing if this is, becomes a good collective aspect of the Star Wars podcast community, something to do, possibly a celebration,
very cool.
The stage and everybody being there. It'd be really neat to do some stuff. So,
there's already a cool incorporate, because there's usually an event, at least there's a hangout amongst podcasters. That's pretty cool. So if they can incorporate that or something like that, or that's usually done off site, but it feels like done on site on on the floor or something like that, that'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. So anyway, here we go with our version of Star Wars Podcast Day. This is our 320th episode of Inside the Force. So let's get right into it. First thing, though, Case, I wanted to bring up, it's been a while since we talked about this, and it's just now kind of lingering a little bit. It's still kind of, I feel like, floating under the radar. But this is about the Galactic Starcruiser.
Yeah.
This is the hotel that is getting built down in Walt Disney World. In fact, I think it's only being built in Walt Disney World. I don't think they're building one in Anaheim. But it's being built right next to Hollywood Studios, behind Galaxy's Edge. In fact, I wasn't sure where. So if you actually do Google Earth right now and look, you can see the construction going on. I don't know when it was taken, but it's the backside of where the Millennium Falcon ride is. So you don't see it, obviously. It's behind the spires. But behind there's a portion of land there that's getting built, and that's where the Galactic Starcruiser is going to be built. Now, unlike a normal Disney resort, if people don't realize this, but it's an experience. It's not a place that you go and stay for a week and get to go to other parks. This is its own type of experience.
Locked in.
Yes, it is a 2-night all immersive adventure is how they coin it. And you walk into the hotel, you get into a shuttle and get taken to the Starcruiser, which is called the Halcyon. You're given, as far as I'm reading these, you're given your own sets of clothes. Sometimes I think you even get some kind of personality or even some backstory. Yeah. I mean, you're just fully immersed in the Star Wars universe, and you have the ability to walk around the ship, see the cabins, see the bridge, see the different gaming restaurants, and it's just sounds incredible, right? They released a picture. The reason I bring this up is they released a picture this past week with the look of the cabin, and it's very, very spot on what the concept art looked like that was released a couple years ago. But I got a speculation about it, but what's hard to imagine is you can actually get into a pod and travel down to the planet Batuu and go to, Black Spire Outpost.
Yeah.
And still experience that part of the parks. I don't know how they're going to keep you from, technically going anywhere else. I'm assuming it's similar to what they have at Disney or VIP tours, where a VIP person actually takes you places wherever you want to go. For the price, I'm assuming it's going to be that because it's pretty expensive to stay here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The thing about it's crazy is that it still says on the website that it's coming in 2021. So I don't know, man. I know you got a lot of life-changing events going on this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. What's your just thoughts about this?
It's kind of a weird year to open that. If I wasn't having two more kids this year, I don't even know if this would be the first year I would try that resort. I'm curious to see how the world is when they start it. But I mean, I'm very excited about it though. I saw the pictures, and I like the little bunks. It's like, again, it's just like the concept art, so it looks really Star Warsy, which is awesome. I
Yes.
still can't get over the fact that there's no real windows. Like everything's artificial. So you have the fake, I guess they're some kind of LED or whatever
Yeah.
screens for your windows, but it looks cool because it's like space, and there's a lot of stuff that would be happening out there, which is very exciting. But thankfully it's just 2 nights, because otherwise it's like you're gonna get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
Need some supplements there with no if you're staying there and not taking time to visit Batu. But because I'd imagine there's, like someone like us, it's like I would be fine with just staying there and only doing that for 2 days, instead of like, oh, I'm going to do this for a few hours and then I'm going to go to the parks and I'm going to come back, and rest. It's like, no, I would stay at this hotel, this resort for the full time.
Yeah.
And then I guess just move to another resort when my time is up so I can experience the parks, so, because I just want to experience every nook and cranny of it.
Yes.
So I'm all game, all for it.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of I feel like there's a little bit of a catch-22 with this, right? Because if you're there because basically it's 2 nights, meaning that I think it's 3 days, 2 nights. So you go during the day, spend the night, all day, spend the night, and then you have some time before you leave
out.
the third day, I guess. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But the catch-22 to me though is, if you're there for, like you said, if you want to just stay in the hotel for 2 full days, there's got to be enough activities in enough space. So this thing's got to be fairly large. And then it's got to be, how many people can you fit in this thing so you're not feeling too overwhelmed and crowded, right? And I don't know. Part of me feels like that it's not going to be. It's going to be pretty a little bit exclusive, because it is a price. It's a pretty high price point as far as what I've read is that it's pretty much a little over $1,000 a night per person.
Yeah.
Right. So if you got like a family of 4 like I do, like it's pretty expensive. You're getting into that 7,000-8,000 range probably, just to do this.
Yeah,
now
that's your vacation.
apparently that's food's included and stuff like that, but still that's pretty pricey. So I'm wondering how many people can stay there at one time. And then again, how does it work with going to Batu? And because it says on the website, you can go ride the Millennium Falcon and go ride the Rise of the Resistance, and do these things. And how are you isolated from the rest of the just normal visitors of Black Spire Outpost? So, so that's interesting to figure that out. But I mean, the bottom line is, I got to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because my daughter Sam is 11 now, and I was talking to her about it. I was like, because I remember mentioning it to her a while ago, but she probably doesn't remember. But I said, hey, there's a Star Wars hotel. She goes, what? There's a Star Wars hotel? So she's like, well, we got to stay there. So, but you can, it says you can wield a lightsaber. You can go to the Silver Sea Lounge, the engineering room, the bridge. I mean, if there's things to do, and apparently, again, what I've read, and again, I don't think I've read it on this main site, but if you become a person on there, kind of, and you have like things you can do or follow a storyline, then that would keep you occupied, I think, for a while. But I think if you're just kind of there doing whatever, walking around, I think you would actually, again, unless there's like a lot of activities, I think there's be a limit to what you can do there. But
maybe, I know, I'm wondering if it's I can't think of like Resistance, the show Resistance, where like it's a community within this ship, and you are given like a task, like deliver this to the captain or something like that. Go down to the hyperdrive room to fix this, or I don't know, like it would be cool if you are given little missions like that. It'd be pretty cool. Or if all of a sudden like pirates board the ship, I don't know. It'd be kind of scary, but cool at the same time.
I know, man. I know. It'd be really crazy. So a lot more to come on that, but apparently it's still getting created, and right now it still says open in 2021, meaning it could be the end of the year. Who knows? But that's going to be a huge Star Wars attraction for fans to do, and I'm highly interested because my wife is a Disney agent, and she still hasn't heard anything about it. So, I'm assuming she would be one of the first to get like an inside, some training on. She always gets, when there's a new resort, she always gets some training about what amenities come with it and where it's at and all that stuff. So I'm sure she'll get something, but going to be interesting. Now I read that there is a discounted way you can go, which is they have a suites that fit 7.
Oh, geez.
And that is like a set number. So if you split that amongst the 7 people, it's a lot cheaper to do that. So there's that. Okay. StarWars.com has also started releasing these High Republic character shorts, basically digital shorts. Pretty neat. They have started with a couple Jedis. They actually have done the Nile, and the latest one was Padawan Bel Zettifar. So a little just kind of highlighting some of these characters, kind of get to know these characters. There's just a big push right now for the High Republic. And with the books coming out, a book just coming out this week, Claudia Gray's book, Into the Dark, just dropped. So you've got a lot of stuff out there still. So there's definitely still plugging away with some work. I don't know if you've dived into the High Republic yet, have you, Case?
I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Eager to, though.
Yeah, I'm a couple chapters into Charles Soule, Light of the Jedi, right? Yeah. So I'm a couple chapters into that. So yeah, it's really good so far. I heard it gets a lot better towards the end, but again, I feel like I pretty much know a little bit, just seeing some of the interviews, what it's about as far as like the Great Disaster and how all these stories are kind of reflective of what's happening with that. But this is only phase 1 of the High Republic, so we're going to be getting that for a few years now going forward. I did start getting the comics. I'm going to start reading that. There are a couple storylines in the comics that Marvel's got one and IDW's got one that I want to get into. So those of you looking to still get into it, it's definitely out there. And then you can watch those little digital shorts on the characters as they keep pumping the marketing on this thing. Speaking of marketing for it, they debuted the High Republic show on the YouTube channel, and of course StarWars.com, with episode 1, basically interviewing the 3 authors that have books out there right now: Charles Soule, Justina Ireland, and Claudia Gray's book that just came out. So talking to them again, not really too much revealed about it, but just wanted to kind of, just top level stuff that you've seen actually in most interviews. But I'm assuming, but they do warn you at the beginning of these things, at least on episode 1, that there possibly could be spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So be mindful of that if you're going to watch it. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. At some point, they're going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
More in-depth stories and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know how if you're seeing it at all. I'm seeing that the books are on the New York Times bestsellers, but I haven't felt the hype on social. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's it. That is the thing. Is like, Star Wars has a big community on Twitter, and I've actually tried to take a back seat to that a little bit, just because of how toxic it could be. So I actually don't know if it has been, if it's been exploding on Twitter. But the only thing I'm seeing on Instagram is mostly just the authors kind of promoting it and all that stuff, and praising it and loving it, which is great. But they would do that. And there's just a lot of interviews. So I haven't quite seen the across multiple news channels about how well it's doing, or if it's not doing well. To be honest, like it's just quiet. It's just kind of quietly coming out.
I think people are liking it. I actually see. I still, like you though. I definitely don't read any of the negative stuff out there, but the things that I just noticed as I was skimming, as it's posted, I still see a ton about Luke Skywalker still in The Mandalorian. Like,
oh gosh, yes,
that's still out there and trending and talked about, and so I think this will pick up steam eventually, but it's hard. We talked about a couple of episodes ago. It's like it's hard when you have publication and strictly publication, and no one's really seeing anything visually, and it's and there's I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of Star Wars fans that aren't necessarily readers. They like the movies and the TV shows, and I hope, because I think a big spark would be an animated series of this.
Yeah, I mean that is really, if it's the goal to bring in, and I need to think of a better word because I hate calling it this, mainstream Star Wars fans, the ones that just consume, like you said, the movies and shows. If it's the goal of Lucasfilm to bring in that audience, or some of them at least, into the books, that is the way to do it. Is you have to go on their turf to direct them to the publishing side of things. So, because right now, I'm sure, again, like kind of as far as I can tell, it's like all these other podcasters or reviewers are enjoying it. So it's like those of us that love publishing already are gonna love what's coming out. As a whole, we're barely getting into it now. So, but yeah, if they want to get that new audience, they have to. I mean, it's a shame. It seems like the Acolyte show obviously won't come out for a while, but there needs to be something that could possibly be fast tracked. 2D animated, 3D animated, whatever it is. It could be short form. I don't know, but I think it does. I mean, I guess you still have to put it on a Disney Plus, or the actual Disney Channel, because just putting it on a YouTube Kids or there's a YouTube show like they've done some of these really short form content.
I think you have to do even if it's in the vein of Star Wars Resistance, that type of animation or something. You can get people interested in the characters that way. And again, and it may not have to necessarily tie directly to what's happening in these books either. It just could be around that time period, So,
I'm wondering if that's a phase 2 plan, which is interesting. Like, I don't know I guess I'm sure if that is the plan, obviously they would trust in that, because why wouldn't you, hit the ground running with everything you got and put out a show during this phase? Because with this first phase, you're only pretty much going to get the publishing audience involved. You're not going to expand. I wouldn't think. So if I can't imagine that's their goal, but maybe it's a goal for phase 2 to bring in that audience. And then if they catch on to it, then it's like, oh, they got they have a whole other previous phase that they have to. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll retroactively build an audience. So
right.
I don't know. Maybe they're just not worried about it. It's just another era of books, and it'll live within that world, but not quite jump to that mainstream world. But it's like, I'm kind of already proven wrong, because we've got that add-on mission for the VR game, the Galaxy's Edge game. So it's you can't say there's not that type of content out there, but obviously it's not going to bring loads of new fans into the books.
Yeah, a video game would do a go a long way too.
One whole game, one game about it. That would be cool. Yeah, that or a TV show, cartoon. Or something.
Agreed. Yeah. So, like I said, Into the Dark just came out this past February 2nd by Claudia Gray, who is one of the, if not the most popular Star Wars author right now. She wrote Princess Leia, Lost Stars, Master and Apprentice, some outstanding books, Bloodline, I think. So need to check that out. Of course, Light of the Jedi and Test of Courage is already out. It came out last month, by Charles Soule and Justina Ireland, respectfully. So lots more coming out this summer, part of phase 1. So a lot to dive into as we get into that. Let's see, some Mandalorian news out there. One fantastic news is it's actually season 2 has actually been nominated for Best Drama Series for the Golden Globes.
Yeah,
fantastic.
They're very good.
Yeah.
What they were nominated last year for? Was it just visual effects? Weren't they nominated last year?
And I think soundtrack maybe. And soundtrack. Yeah.
But this is a big one. Yeah.
This is the overall drama series. Not sure what it's up against yet, but I haven't seen that far. But we'll be rooting for them.
Yeah.
And season 3 is apparently set to start filming this April. So obviously, yes, we're not getting this series at the end of this year. It will be sometime in 2022.
I guess that means they're done shooting Boba Fett.
That's right.
Because that's how it always came across, is that they're literally they're taking it in stride. But
they are. But apparently, it seems like it's the Favreau, Filoni ones that they're taking one at a time, right? Because it sounds like at the same time they're shooting season 3 of Mandalorian, they begin shooting the Obi-Wan series, and I think that is shooting in London. So, so they're going to be shooting those back to back. Sometime in 2022, we will be getting those. So that's still on track. Another bit of news, the Andor series. I guess I don't know if they're wrapped yet, but I know they began shooting at the end of last year. So that series again coming in sometime in 2022. But I found this interesting because there's an article going around saying that K2SO will not be featured in this first season, I guess, of Andor. But that's where I was. Not that I was confused at whether or not he's going to show up. I was actually confused because I had always was under the impression this was one of the limited series. That this wasn't going to have multiple seasons. So I guess it is going to have multiple seasons now.
Yeah, well, that's the hope, right? Yeah. So I guess that's what they're holding off on. It came from Alan Tudyk.
Yes.
So it's kind of you could take it as fact, but all he says is, his quote is that they're shooting right now. I'm not in it, but if it stays on the air, stories keep getting told, I'll end up in there. So he's probably not. I don't know if he's holding his breath or not with that, but that is interesting. I do feel like maybe they could possibly be treating it. Maybe they were told at first like this is a one-off, then maybe like with anything, if it makes money, they'll do more. So they might be treating this as a one season thing, but which I don't think is a bad thing to do, because we might get some great, they may not hold back anything and telling just a great one season story, and then if it gets renewed, then they'll take it from there. But that was interesting. I was surprised to hear that. My thought was, though, at first when I heard that, it's like, oh, K2SO won't be in there, maybe not as we know him. I thought maybe there was more of like a read between the lines kind of thing. Like he'll be in this first season as a true programmed Imperial droid. Like he'll be a bad guy in this first season. And then he gets captured at the end and reprogrammed. Then in season 2, he'll be the good guy. So, but it sounds like he's not in it at all, I suppose.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess limited series. I guess it just doesn't mean what I was thinking it meant, which is not a full seasonal series. It's just a handful of episodes. But maybe this means that limited means only like 2 seasons or 3 seasons or something like that. I don't know what that means, but and maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong that it was even characterized. But I for some reason, I thought Andor, Obi-Wan, thought these were all dubbed limited series. But
well, I mean, I think, I think that also really applies to like the amount of episodes, the length, possibly the length. I don't know what the rumor has been of how long this season is going to be. But when I think of limited series, I do think of like a few, like 3-4 episodes. But I think the rumor that this might be 6. But I can't remember. I get this kind of confused with with the Obi-Wan rumors. But it could be like a very just short, almost like a Sherlock type of thing. Maybe it's just a few long episodes. Like an hour, maybe longer than an hour long episodes.
Yeah,
which would be interesting.
Because I think there was I think Deanna Luga actually was quoted by saying like the sets that they're building. I mean, it's like they're making Rogue One. It's like it's a massive production. And you go back to what Bob Iger mentioned, an Investor Day, when he's like, we're not skimming on these series. We don't want there to be a separation between the quality of a film versus the quality of what we're putting on Disney Plus. So they are spending a lot of money doing these. They're treating them like movies, which is incredible, because again, like a 6 episode series is like you're getting like 4 movies out of that thing.
Yeah, which makes me think that it could very well be shorter than that. Possibly. Because think of like on the scale, Mandalorian, 30-ish 30-40 minute episodes. I mean, you're still getting like 2 or 3 movies out of that. But it's just it's a whole, you could do a lot now with less money, but
the volume, man. The volume makes it a lot easier.
It's just everything. Yeah.
Gosh. But it is, it is interesting because the K2, you almost, I mean, part of me just feels like you almost have to show that story, because, I mean, that's the whole thing about Rogue One, is Andor is always next to K2, and that whole, emotional scenes with what happened to K2 at the end, and it's like you saw how it ended. You got to see how it started. Now there is a comic, there's a comic,
right?
And gosh, I can't remember, because I think I read it a while ago. I don't really remember it, so I don't think that was at the beginning of it. I think they had already been established. But shoot, I need to go back and look at that because I don't know if there's a backstory in there about how they. Because if it was told in that comic, then you have to almost like repeat it unless you're going to like, retcon the comic.
Yeah, sure. Well,
But there's a comic. Yeah, go ahead.
I just assumed it was going to be in this season.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and introduce them, do the origin.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to because, the comic was only a one shot, and I don't really remember it, so I don't know if it was that good or not. But I need to kind of make sure and see if that's even if it's part of what they would maybe do for the series at all. But the thing about it is, it's just like any one of these with characters that are already established. It's like where it's going to end up, right? So I think they did release when this takes place, which is, I want to say it's like 5 years before Rogue One, which is, I think, about to start with Rebels. It's almost the same year where Rebels takes place. So you do have a lot of leeway, unless you're covering a lot of time during the series, but you do have several years of missions that he can do, to do it. So there should be enough content there if you're going to do multiple seasons.
Yeah. Like with any prequel, you are trapped within how much. I feel like, it just, I say that you are taking away the drama by knowing the fact that he survives. But there's been some shows I've seen where that, even though the hero is going to live, it can still be dramatic. Obviously, it's just, you just got to have good writers behind it. So that's why I would love for this show to really dive into just the state of the galaxy and the government and kind of that just the world that has already been created with him, the spy, espionage type of world. I just want to see more of that. I just want to see, because it almost gave us a new look at the rebels that we hadn't seen, that kind of outside of Saw, but at that kind of edgy, willing to cross the line a little bit to get what you need. So I'm curious to see more of that side of the rebels. But other than that, I mean, this show does have a lot of potential. We had a good episode on Noah where we talked about like all the cool things that they could do, if they brought in these characters or these storylines or answered these questions. So it does have a lot of potential.
Yes, and I just looked up quickly the plot of the comic.
Oh yeah.
And it does say, which maybe I didn't read this because I really don't remember a single thing in this thing, but so I need to go back and read it. But it says that this one-shot comic shows how Cassian Andor met the Imperial security droid K2SO prior to the events of Rogue One. So
interesting.
So maybe maybe they can't. That's why he's not in there, because it's already been established how they met. No. Interesting. That might be something we have to bring up once we get through the comic again. I do have it. I need to reread it though. But
I mean, this new canon is 5, 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old now. So it's is it time that they start retconning and creating these alternate little stories here, because I mean that can get into trouble.
Well, it's always gonna be possibly that issue when you start going across different mediums, right? I mean that's you stick with just Disney Plus, no issues, I'm sure, but are those people really knowing what the publishers are doing and what the comics are doing? And there still seems like that level of canon, that
Yeah,
It's the movies, it's Disney Plus, and then it's the publishing.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly. I do think that's how a lot of the consumers and audience feels, but I do get a sense that there's been a better effort at making sure everything is in continuity.
Yeah, I think so too.
Gosh, I mean, just Mandalorian alone. I mean, I don't know. Mandalorian, honestly, I don't know if we're assuming that that's all those connections with like Cobb Vanth and all that stuff. That was I'm assuming that's Filoni, pulling that material. I'm not aware of anybody from Story Group that has been working on Mandalorian. I can't think of the credits to see if I remember seeing a name.
Yeah,
usually there's a name there.
I think there are a couple of names. I want to say I can't remember her name, but I think two of the women that are on there, I think, are helping with the live action stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, that is, I feel like, has been a good effort recently about having Story Group hopefully being that thread of whether offering that canon knowledge, those characters, or just filling in the gaps.
But even if you brought up Cobb Vanth, and Cobb Vanth's storyline is not exactly what it is in Aftermath.
Yeah, it's true.
So it is a little different.
Yeah.
But again, it always comes down to, and we've said this a lot on the show, it always comes down to your point of view, right?
Yeah, goodness.
Your point of view of how it happened, right? So,
then, having that been said, it's like, because we also had an episode where we talked about kind of, maybe it was more so about, it's about who else we would bring from the publishing side, but I'm fine if they change little aspects of a story, but you do have to stick to, if there's an established just whatever persona of that character,
yes,
if a part of their backstory truly defines who they are,
yes.
I do believe that there are things you can bend, some things you can change, but there's certainly things you just cannot change without changing the character. So
agreed. Agreed there.
So if like K2, if they just totally redo a completely different origin, then they just threw out that comic. They just like, oh yeah, and just toss it.
Yeah, what is this?
But
but very true.
We'll see.
We will see. So, little side topic there on that, but I think that's definitely worth talking about, because again, there's going to be, as just more and more down the line, there's going to be more and more, things that possibly could mess with continuity. And just a quick note, we could see a lot of that happen possibly with the High Republic.
Mm-hmm.
If they start doing Disney Plus, live action Disney Plus series, or even a movie in that era, that's, I don't know, it could change what's happening in the publishing world right now too. But
that's, that is different, because they're creating that from scratch. So, hopefully they're I just hope that they're building that thread, and they're planning, like, when they're going to bring it into bring in a movie, bring in a game. It's just, well, we'll see.
We'll see. Speaking of games, great little segue there, because we want to talk a little bit about an article I read posted by Star Wars Newsnet, mentioning that a lot of details about what possibly could be a Knights of the Old Republic game coming back at you. Basically, I know a lot of people know about this, but I had to refresh my memory on it a little bit. So Knights of the Old Republic was a game by BioWare years ago. Back, I think the release date was in 2003. Looks like 2003.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And set in 3,956 BBY. So nearly 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Of course, none of this era has ever been explored up until this game. And you correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, but at this point in time, there's a whole lot of Jedi and there's a whole lot of Sith, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of Jedi. There's, it's Jedi academies on multiple planets. Sith wise, I think there had already been some. I want to say some Sith wars. There's certainly been Mandalorian wars, but there's like a Sith planet. There's Sith academies. There's certainly, and there's a lot of, when I think back to the game, I do think back. There's a lot of dark side just users. Like the typical non-playable character that you run up against to fight, or dark side apprentices or whatever. But yeah, there certainly are Sith. There's, because part of the game is, and also I might be getting some of it confused with the second KOTOR game, but there's the Sith Temple with the Sith. You have to learn the Sith code, and if you choose to go to the dark side, you become a Sith. So yeah, it's very vibrant time. It's the era that we've all been wanting to see in live action form, where you have all these armies of both sides, essentially, Jedi and Sith.
So what the story that is out there right now is, apparently there's been, there has been a lot of rumors over the years, at least the last year, about the possibility of remastering the games and kind of re-releasing them, similar to what they've done with the Resident Evil games recently, which they upgrade them into full HD and then put them out there on, the Xbox One and PS5 and all that stuff. But apparently with the EA license, expiring soon, and basically Lucasfilm Games opening up the entire possibilities of different types of games with other companies. More rumors have been flown around and coming up of that not only is the remaster, it could be being remastered, but actually reimagined to actually become a canon storyline, right? Because these games are still in the Legends category because it was done before the buyout. And when I say games, there was a second game that came out, Knights of the Old Republic 2, that was set about, I think it was 5 years later. Right?
Something like that.
You're right.
Like
and then there was actually a third game that came out called just The Old Republic, Star Wars The Old Republic. And that was about 500 years later.
Yeah.
Than
that was a whole different thing. I didn't get into that.
Yes.
That was a massive multiplayer online, strictly PC game. Correct.
And to this day, it still gets expansions.
Yeah.
In fact, they had just one just in 2019. So that game has been ever evolving. And, but again, like you said, it's not the same storyline years later. But very popular with basically the expansions they call them Rise of the Hutt Cartel, Galactic Starfighter, Shadow of Revan, Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne. They've actually released CG animated cinematic trailers for some of these, which are pretty awesome. But the question comes down to, basically what the article is saying is there's a company called Aspire. They are the ones apparently working on this reimagined game, which sounds like, again, the same Knights of the Old Republic, but I'm hearing whatever you're playing. Are you playing something?
No.
Oh, I'm playing something. Hold on. All right, sorry, my bad. That was mine.
That's funny.
It's like you're playing interview. There's an interview with this guy, one of the creators of the old Knights of the Old Republic, and he's talking about the possibilities of reinventing the game. So what I wanted to talk about mainly so I don't know much about the game. I never played it. I was never a PC guy. And in fact, it was on Xbox, but I never got it.
Yeah.
But we mentioned this before. It's one of those, what do you call it? The turn by turn fighting,
I guess, it's like Final Fantasy,
yes,
turn based,
turn based,
kind of
yes,
stuff. And there's a strategy to where you could choose. You could like strategize your moves and who you want to choose, and then you can miss them. But so it's like,
not really a fan of that stuff. So I hope they change that part. I do hope they change that part. Now, maybe a lot of people love that and they want to keep it that way. But
it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk mostly about the story. Like, really, if they are going to canonize this thing, and since you have some familiarity with it, I mean, is there anything about it that right now wouldn't translate well to canon? I mean, this is so far in the past.
Yeah. No, when you're talking about events, the history, and the stories, I do feel like pretty much all of that could resonate. Now, because you would be introducing a lot of new content though, in saying that, because obviously, you're introducing a whole new world where like the High Republic, that's supposed to be the peak of the Jedi. Is that to say everything leading up to that is building towards the High Republic? With the name being the High Republic, you think that because the world in the Old Republic, the Knights of the Old Republic, that's what I feel like the High Republic is. It's very classic, classical architecture. You feel like you're in Rome or Greece all the time. It's very pretty and utopian type of way, and the dress feels very much like normal Star Wars, normal robes and all that stuff, but with the Jedi. But you have a lot of so I feel like you might have to scale it down a bit, perhaps, if you're trying to reimagine a world that is maybe leading up to High Republic. So I'm not sure if that just means the galaxy itself is smaller, not as many planets are discovered, and whatnot. But because even though it's 4,000 years in the past, there is still a lot of history that you learn throughout these games. You learn about ancient, even though it's 4,000 years, you still learn about ancient alien races, the ancient species that are much older than that. So you might have to scale down the environment of it, but the story is great. I mean, you get Reva and Malik. You do have these big battles, but I think you can keep these characters, but maybe scale down the story to match your trajectory towards High Republic. There's small things about canon that you would have to get rid of or change. The only one I can think of right now is something that's small. It's about like lightsabers. Red crystals are a thing, obviously that whole aspect of bleeding crystals came out just recently with Ahsoka. So that was nowhere near part of Knights of the Republic. Part of the game is you go into a crystal cave and you find any number, many crystals, and they're already colored.
Yes.
So there's little things like that would obviously easily change, but it's a very vibrant world. So you just have to think that it might be. Now, I would think that I wouldn't be opposed that they did make it so old. If they're completely reimagining it, it could be bump up right up against High Republic, or depending, if we're talking about though Darth Bane is still canon, there's still a millennia of no Sith, then I guess you can go as far as making it 1,000 years prior to the films. Maybe not 4,000, maybe it's 1,500 years before. I don't know if you don't want to make it so far in the past, which there's ways you can make it work, but I think you can pretty much adapt it very well. So I'm just trying to think. You have Mandalorian race, you have you have the planets, the armor. You have armies of Mandalorians. You have armies of Sith, armies of Jedi, and among other things, pirates. So it's still very much Star Wars, but it feels bigger. So that's probably the biggest thing I would say. I know it's might be sounding redundant now, but yeah, I think that's it. I think that's you just have to think about the scale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can have like you mentioned those cinematic trailers for the Old Republic. Those were some huge battles with hundreds of Sith or maybe and tons of Jedi. So I don't know if you can have that. If it's just it just depends, I guess. I'm curious to see how High Republic's
Well, I think that's what everybody wants, is they want to see a lot of Sith.
It is just kind of, is it going to become a misnomer to call the High Republic? What's the High Republic referring to? Is it just because the government itself is at its peak and the Jedi is at its peak? Because you are acknowledging that in the world of Darth Bane that there were multiple Sith and there were still multiple Jedi. So you can still have those epic battles and wars that could relate to Knights of the Old Republic. But I guess we just have to wait and learn what exactly means when you call that era the High Republic, and how would it be different from the Old Republic? So
yeah. Well, that's an interesting question, because I don't know if I have seen the answer to this, but is the High Republic the actual name they call the Republic, or is that just
why would you call yourselves that?
A description of the era,
Sure, yeah.
Which to me, it's the description of the era. Mm-hmm. Very much like when they released that image that has all the different eras. It's like, mm-hmm. This is the fall of the Jedi era. This is the rise of the First Order or whatever. They had all these. And then this is the High Republic era. I think it's just called the Republic. But now, remember, according to Palpatine, I think in episode 2, he says, I'm not going to let the Republic, which has stood for 1,000 years, right? So 1,000 years before episode 1, before the Clone Wars, is when the Republic, as we know it, was established. So right around the time that apparently the Sith were extinct. So it's been, I think, mentioned a few times that there was some kind of Jedi-Sith war that apparently brought peace. And the Republic then was established. So I think prior to 1,000 years, I think that is what's referred to as the Old Republic, right? If you want to go back 1,000, 2,000 from there, it's like whatever. I think that's all the Old Republic. Now, it's curious to know, in the other game, the Star Wars, The Old Republic, in that cinematic movie, you have the Sith Empire that actually takes control. They invade Coruscant and take control. And I think there's a time when the Sith ruled. Very much like Palpatine says, right? Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy. So at some point, they did rule the galaxy. So to me, those are the pieces of the stories that we've gotten in the movies that I want to see become canon in these games. Like if it's these types of, is it still the same people? That's fine. Let's just show the things that we've been told about, I'm with you. I don't know if it's 1,000 years, or do we go further back? Do we keep it 4,000 years? I don't know. That's
I don't think there's a need to do it. I mean, because I don't see why. I mean, I don't think it's a good enough argument. We got to distance itself more. It's like, I don't think you have to, really. I mean, High Republic is one thing. You're only a couple hundred years, few hundred years, prior. So it's like, to me, that's a little too close for comfort. But you say 1,000 years, 2,000 years, I mean, come on. I think you're fine.
I think 4,000 actually. Yeah, you almost get to the point where, it's
just numbers. 10,000 years.
Yeah, but 4,000 years. Is it? is technology still is the same? Is
I mean, in the games, it feels very much the same. I mean, you have, I mean, the ships, the weapons, the clothes, the technology in general. It's all pretty much the same.
right? So
Which could
that's
be,
interesting.
which obvious. Again, I think this era of Star Wars canon there is a greater effort to make everything make sense, and so that you don't have these continuity issues or questions like that, where it's it's a little more thought out of the progression of technology and the progression of expansion within the galaxy itself. And so I think if they reimagined it, I do feel like there would be a better effort to make all that, logical, I suppose is the word to use.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is the main Sith Lord that's in Knights of the Republic, very famous character Darth Revan, has been canonized already. The character has been canonized. In fact, so he was canonized in the visual dictionary of the Rise of Skywalker. Apparently, he's mentioned or seen in some of the writings.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a, my goodness, I have it behind me somewhere. But I remember there's like a little data table section that lists several eras. The Darth Revan era, I think, was one of them. But
that's right.
I can't remember if they even gave a year for that, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it has been established though when he was, but there was also a deleted scene that in the Clone Wars that was supposed to canonize him as well, but never made it. And this quote from Dave Filoni says, one of the very interesting things about the final episode of Mortis that I know fans would have found very interesting was that George was looking for two ancient Sith Lords that can bring some meaning that would be kind of like an uber evil influence guiding the sun. And this was Darth Bane and Darth Revan, both of who existed in the EU. So whether or not they were master and apprentice or just two different Sith Lords, but
yeah, well, they were in different eras for sure. But when you're canonizing them, I think you can make them essentially the same. I mean, there's in the Old Republic era, with the games, the Knights of the Republic games, you have a handful of Sith Lords that you can bring back into the canon. But Bane for sure, Bane and Revan are the big names. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I think I'm still convinced that there will be a Darth Bane story at some point, which that's got to be around the 1,000-year mark. If you're going to do Revan, I think you do it. You go back and do more of an Old Republic and go back, maybe even maybe he's Darth Bane's master.
Yeah, they can certainly. Cause that's what I would suggest is if you want to clean it up a little bit, that those large gaps, 4,000 years, then you have the Bane era. It's like you could just clean that up a little bit, condense it.
That's right.
I think that's totally because in the games you have Revan and Malak, who's Revan's apprentice, and you have the second game. You have 3 Sith Lords in that game, so it's so it can you can certainly clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, because again, when you watch those cinematic trailers, which if you haven't, I don't know what you're missing out because they're fantastic. But it very much looks like the same era as the Skywalker saga. I mean, there's no. I mean, they even got clones in there.
Yeah.
The Jedi they look roughly the same. So it's not a lot has changed in the 4,000 years, which is surprising a little bit because I guess it's that established. The galaxy is that established still at that point already, but which is fine with me. It really doesn't matter. Like you said, years are just numbers. It's really all about the characters and the storylines and stuff like that. But obviously making some kind of connectivity would help, I think. Be it Revan or be it Bane. I think it just brings some familiarity to the fans, So anyway, we'll we'll keep an eye out for that. I'm actually very interested in that. I love the idea. I've always wanted to see something that's Jedi versus Sith, not just a ton of Jedi versus 2 Sith. I want to see the Sith Empire.
Yeah.
I want to see I just want to see that kind of storyline now. And if it's a game, fantastic. I hope it's a game that I like playing, but any kind of storylines in that would be exciting. So,
I mean, gosh, when the game came out, both games, that was my life for a while. And you had to play it multiple times because you can be light side. If you want to be the choices you make, you can be light side, it can be dark side. So you play it first one way, then you play it again, making those other choices to be, the other side of Force user. So, yeah, it consumed me for sure. So I'm really looking forward to if they bring it back, bring that world back.
Yeah, exciting. The whole game news and everything, all the stuff that could be coming is very exciting. So, we are those who come before those who betray. Yeah. So, yeah, Revan and Bane to the sun. Yeah, in Mortis, guys.
Yeah.
They were gonna say, we are those who have come before, those who were betrayed, those who hate. We are the wielders of the dark side. What do you want from me? Says the Son, and he says, we stand before you, disciples of the dark side, intent on its supremacy. It has been foreseen that one lives who will control the universe.
And that's what, honestly, that is, I don't know Revan's entire history because I know there were some books, I think, of him as well. But spoiler alert for the games, at least. In the first game, you are Revan, but and this is what's weird because you can obviously, based on what you choose, the game can end a completely different way. So I'm not even sure what is necessarily Legends canon version of the game, if that exists, because the game starts, you're just a normal guy with amnesia essentially, and you find out that you are Revan, and then you make the choice if you want to be a good guy or a bad guy. So every time we talk, people talk about Revan, it's like, he's a good guy in my mind, but he's a villain turned good, but depends on how you played the game. So I'm not quite sure, how he actually in Legends canon, how he ended up. But because when I hear like that in Clone Wars, it's like, so because it doesn't make sense. Like, why would he show up as a Sith spirit when he was good? But anyways,
Yep. All right. Well, stay tuned for that. See if they do what they do with that, because it's going to be very interesting what time period they pick and how close it is going to be to the other game. Because the thing about it is they have released those games on mobile, so like you can go back and play, and that's the Republic. So it's like it sounds like they would. It sounds like it would be a new adventure. I feel like set in that time frame somehow. But we shall see. Lucasfilm Games is going to be coming out with all kinds of stuff. So. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. As you can see, or if you haven't, all of our shows are on our podcast feeds, or you can go to YouTube channel and watch us right there. Got some other council sessions beyond the sagas and some interview series coming out here shortly to keep you occupied. So go there and give it a subscribe. And, of course, go to InsideTheForce.com to find us on all your podcast feeds. Take care, everybody. Hope everybody. I think Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, so it's going to be some cold winters still here shortly. Who knows? But hope everybody stays warm out there. Yeah, that's it. Go watch some Star Wars. For Casey Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. May the Force be with you.